Welcome back, everybody. This is Jason from the Music Store with my cohort and best buddy, the man of the hour, Mr. Ten Fingers himself,
Jeremy Renner.
Yes.
I have 10 toes, too.
He's got 10 toes. Have you ever tried playing your guitar with your toes?
No, but there was a guy who I saw who, I think through an unfortunate series of events, he either was, born without them or lost them in an accident, his arms, and he was playing guitar with his feet.
That is awesome.
It's pretty cool, actually.
So we have an in-studio special guest with us today. We have Jeremy Rotollo. Did I pronounce that right?
You nailed it.
All right, yeah. So let him get on the mic there. Yeah, Mr. Jeremy Rotollo, who is the director and one of the founders of the Atlantic City Theater Company.
That's right.
Yeah. And they are doing something really cool. We're getting into spooky season, right?
That's right.
Getting into Halloween. He is doing a production of a cult classic. Is it global at this point? I'm going to say global cult-like performance of a little show called the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That's right.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the production you guys are doing when it's running, and then I'm really sort of curious about the history of this and how it went from a B grade movie to like a cult thing.
Yeah, just to touch on that last part, that I think it did so well because the story is so abstract and ridiculous, but the music that goes along with it is really good. It's really catchy stuff. So if I had to speculate, I'd say it's the music and the characters that everybody fell in love with, which is why they do the picture show. So that's what we're doing this year. We're doing the picture show with the shadow cast. So
what's a shadow cast?
So we hire a bunch of actors, talented actors that could actually sing, dance, and all of that. But they come on, and we have the actual Rocky Horror Picture Show, the movie, playing on a projection screen. So this is a tradition,
So I thought you were like doing like the
Rocky Horror musical.
No.
So, I guess a little bit about my thought process then on this is because there is the Rocky Horror Picture Show with the Shadowcast and the Rocky Horror Musical with the full production, which we're doing next year. We're kind of using this picture show as a springboard of sorts. So the actors that we hired for this are actually the actors that we'll be using for next year's performance. We contracted them and everything. It's the thought process behind that from an economical standpoint is really that we have a bunch of these talented actors. We'll use this as the first show that we're doing in the Claridge as the resident theater company, right?
The Claridge is a casino in Atlantic City.
It used to be. Now it's a hotel resort.
Oh, it's a hotel. Okay.
So it's attached to a casino. So the Celebrity Theater, which is, the theater company, that's our home. This is our first show that we're programming there going into the 2024 season, which we have a few shows lined up, and Rocky Horror the Musical is one of them in October.
So how does this actually work then? So you're going to play the movie on a screen like you're in a movie.
Yeah.
But am I going to hear the actual movie, or am I going to hear these actors on stage doing the parts in front of the movie while how does this work exactly? What am I seeing?
Some theater companies do it where they have the actual actors kind of talking over the movie. I don't think that ever goes well, and the reason why is because there's kind of a combat of frequencies happening there, and then not only that, the timing of the lines has to be identical and exact to the pitch of the voice of the person that's on screen, or else it's going to be super distracting. So I don't like that way of doing it. I let the actors just nail the blocking and the character and the general vibe of it, and I have the movie playing.
So is this like if me and a bunch of friends were hanging out, pounding some beers, and like it came on and like somebody was miming or doing along with like a Frankenstein movie or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
That's kind of what I'm getting.
It's kind of the vibe, but you have to understand it's a whole tradition and experience. So when the audience comes, there's these things called call-outs, right? So they have specific lines, like when Janet comes on or Brad comes on, you're supposed to yell, when you see Janet, it's slut. When Brad comes on, it's asshole. And there's a bunch of different call-outs. So it's one fluid experience between the audience and the actors on that stage. So it's really, it's a Rocky Horror experience rather than... it's miming in a way, but it's different. It's still like there's a lot of thought put into it. And if anything, I think as a director, it's harder to direct this picture show than it is the actual, the musical, because you're confined to the film.
So if that was a thing, I mean, there are other movies where they do this because I'm thinking back to any one of the Monty Python movies would be like hysterical, where somebody could get up in front of a Monty Python thing and or Airplane.
Yeah,
yeah. Somebody should redo like a play of Airplane.
I think that would be great.
When so if one of the characters comes out during the movie, are they kind of like with the people in the audience, kind of like riffing and laughing on the people in the movies, or are they like really trying to play that character full on? So the character comes out and doesn't go, "I'm a slut,"
No. Yeah, it's full on like. And it requires a lot of focus from the actor and actresses, right? Because like you have all these call outs, there's being thrown at you, rice and toilet paper. It's really an insane experience. That's what people are paying for when they go to see it. It's like a moment to, sexually and just generally let loose completely. Right. And it's but to answer your question, the actors are like locked in as the characters.
Did you have to hire like a hazmat cleaning crew for this one?
No. So so that's a good question.
Not too many fluids flying around or anything like that, I hope.
We'll see how crazy it gets and how many tickets we sell. But the celebrity theater handles the cleanup. Yeah.
You're not going to be popular with the janitorial staff after that show. Like, oh, that guy. So, and how many shows are going to be going on? And when are they, or where can people go to find out about the show? Or
so you could go to our website to get more information. That's www.atlanticcitytheatercompany.com. And just go to the Rocky Horror tab, and we'll have the ticket links and the description of the show and all that.
Would you say these kind of events are priced? Are they priced closer to like what a movie would be, an augmented reality version of a movie, or are they priced closer to what theater tickets are? Because there's a big delta between what theater tickets are and movie tickets. All the movies have gotten expensive.
I would say theater ticket pricing because there's actually there's still a big budget that goes into this in terms of like costumes and hiring the artist and directing it and the choreography. Like we have, it's a full. Don't get me wrong, it's a full production that you're seeing on that stage, and it just happens to have the projection behind it. And we're kind of trying to use the blocking to coincide with the film. I'm doing a poor job of explaining this, but
as far as the blocking goes, is there still a set?
Yeah. So we have set pieces, we have costume pieces, we have prop pieces. Like I said, it's a full production, and especially the way we do it, because we're using it as a springboard for next year's Rocky Horror Musical. We've poured, over $10,000 worth of budget into just this show.
Oh wow! Yeah. So that's some real money for regional theater.
For the Rocky Horror Picture Show, sure. I mean, theater is really expensive. It's really not. It's not in this area. I wouldn't say it's a money making business. You could certainly make money, and we do well with our ticket sales and everything. But New York City, they can make theater worth it. Because they're open like 8 days a week, right?
Yeah, two shows,
right?
2 shows on certain days of the week.
So, and they'll fill those seats. So, it's different here, with regional theater. It's still a large budget, and you'll be good if you break even and maybe have a surplus. And that has to, go to how good is your artistic director and your managing director and stuff. And we've been lucky, not to toot my own horn as the artistic director, but we've been doing well so far. So I can't complain.
We had some conversations about your feelings on like Atlantic City in particular as having some potential for the arts down there. If you could chime in real quick on your thoughts about like the potential. And it's funny, like I feel like for the past 50 years, people have been talking about the potential of Atlantic City. And it's never really quite come to fruition. But from an artistic standpoint, usually, some places that are challenged are affordable for the arts. And then usually the arts make things really cool, and then people come in and then make it too expensive for the arts to exist. But that's a different story. But give us a little bit of a background on how you ended up in Atlantic City and your thoughts. Is that actually, because everybody thinks Atlantic City is like basically gambling.
I know, and it kind of stinks that perception is out there, because there's so much more, and there's so much more culture than just gambling in Atlantic City. The nightlife is great. The restaurants and small businesses are wonderful. Some of the best food that I've had, like ever, is coming out of Atlantic City. Like, I don't know if I could, is this like a plug or something, but Doc's Oyster House in Atlantic City. It's like the best seafood. I've been to New York City when I'm, acting up there, and Philadelphia when Doc's is like the best seafood that I've had ever. So like there's a lot that's already there, and people don't realize, because you're right, they have that perception that it's just gambling and that's all there is. But there's so much more. And then, in regards to the art in Atlantic City, I mean, you have the Atlantic City Arts Foundation. They're doing great murals all over the city. Really, really wonderful work. They have like really cool programs called Arteriors, where like they'll take an abandoned building or something that's being remodeled and they'll make it into like an art installation, and they'll keep it there until it's fully remodeled. And
cool.
Then the owner has the whoever buys it or whatever has the option to keep it like that, or just convert it into whatever they were going to convert it to. So there's really cool stuff down there.
Have you talked with or had any interaction with like the Atlantic City Tourism Board, or to try to do something jointly, or where they're giving support to the theater because you're doing something like, hey, he's doing something that's artistic and cultural here, not just gambling?
They had an interesting merge recently. So it used to be a little background about like the organizations in AC. They had Do AC and they had Meet AC, two like organizations in charge of tourism for Atlantic City, and they just recently merged into Visit AC, which is cool. So now it's one organization. But yeah, they help in terms of like marketing and stuff like that. I think that there should be more support personally, but in terms of marketing, they do help. Sure.
How are the audiences? Mm-hmm. Do you get a gauge or a feeler? Is it a lot of people who are coming in for, maybe they are staying at the hotels, whether they're gambling or not, they're just there to have a weekend in Atlantic City? So I guess it's a two-part question. So do you find that is that also one thing happening, and then there's also, how is the actual area with people who live in the area, maybe within 30 minutes driving distance? How are they responding to do you find that you're getting a lot of those people as per your?
That's a super interesting and really good question, and it's a complex answer. So I'll try to like compress it into something that it doesn't take up too much time. There's almost two different types of programming happening when I'm setting up the season. Because I have to keep in mind that it's an urban community as well. So I have to, as much as we can subsidize, we will, budget allowing. And so we'll do like our free workshops and stuff for the community, our free Meisner-based Art of Doing workshops. We do that twice a year. We do that in the spring, and we do that in the fall. And we have a really, really good turnout. So there's interest from the community for these type of programs, right? And then also with a lot of our shows, when we have a bigger show, we try to program it in a sense that it's taking place in the summer at some point, maybe it's June or July, and then August, and then October and December. We try to target it because it is a tourism district, right? And it is a destination. We have to make sure that we can capitalize on that, because a large part of our entertainment audience is coming from that for sure. Now the community members still come out and stuff like that, but you have to remember Atlantic City is only 48 blocks. It's a small city. It has a lot to offer, but it is a small city.
The actual town itself is 48 blocks. Because then you have like, what is it, Ventnor? What's right next to it?
Ventnor City and Margate, yeah.
Yeah, so they look on the map, they look like it's part of Atlantic City, but it's not.
Exactly.
Do you have any kind of like membership thing, or like supporting? Jeremy, you went to that theater up and you played upstate New York, and you said they're like people that like are like members of the theater, and then they go to the theater all the time and get these tickets to see like your group and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of regional theater houses have that sort of thing going on, where they have subscription based gold circle members, and really that depends on like sometimes their donations. Mm-hmm. So you'll have preferential seating, and if it's dinner theater, maybe there's a bunch of stuff included with that.
Well, I guess what I'm getting...
They'll go to everything.
Right,
they will go to everything, and sometimes they have sometimes it's unfortunate. I've run into this when I've talked to other artistic directors and producers. I go, does the demographic of your subscribers dictate, what your season's going to look like sometimes? And are they responding to... Because sometimes there's always going to be shows that
it's like the tail wagging the dog, you're saying.
Hello, Dolly, or something like, what am I thinking of? Like a chorus line. Everyone loves that show. Everyone's going to come out and see. But does that leave enough room to do
experimental theater
and small works?
Like, that's a great question.
So Yeah, I mean that's the thought process, right? I mean, Chorus Line would not go well in Atlantic City, right? Any Golden Age musical, right? That's not what the community's looking for, and so it's up to us to really respond to what the demand is in a sense, and respond artistically and creatively to that. I would say that yes, that's a big part of our thought process. And whenever we do a show, we have a QR code with a virtual
Like a survey.
a survey. Sorry, couldn't think of the word right. Survey. And if you do it, you'll get 10% off. But this is the way we collect our demographic and what they want to see, and then we kind of use that data and push our season and vision forward, right? So it's definitely part of the thought process.
Have you noticed that, like, do you see like the same faces every once in a while? Do you know who are the people? Are they retirees that are living outside of Atlantic City in that area? Because there's a lot of them down there. Or are they workers at the casino or college kids? Like, what are you seeing as your
tourists from the hotels in general?
Yeah,
I'd say all of the above, and I know that's like a weak answer, but it really is the truth. It's such a it's a tricky thing, and that's why I think Atlantic City having all of these theater venues in the casinos and stuff like that, they're not utilized properly because it is such a tricky demographic, right? It's like, who are we appealing to? Is it the people that are coming in as tourists to the casinos? Is it the retirees, like you said? Is it the community itself? Like, who are we targeting here? And then not only who are we targeting, can we find a way to optimize it so that we include everybody in our season? You know what I mean? And I don't want to like be undefined when I say can we appeal to everybody, but I do think there is a creative way to offer different programs and different shows for a wide array of people. I don't know if that makes sense. But
no, it does. Yeah. I mean, I can imagine like that you would get people for the Rocky Horror thing that you're doing. Yeah. Like that's from up north, like me and my friends would be like, "Hey, what are we doing this weekend? Let's drive to AC and get get a room and like hang out and party." And so I could see people driving. Christ, I mean, all the times I've been at the casino, I've sat next to people from literally all over the eastern seaboard. So I could imagine, like, in theory, you could get somebody from up North Jersey, Long Island, whatever, being like, let's go down to AC because they're doing this Rocky Horror thing.
We draw a crowd,
What is it that drew you to it creatively? And is there any particular spots in the movie that you've noticed, like, have the biggest crowd reaction? What is, like, without giving too much away?
Yeah. What drew to me I think just it's a really good like safe bet from a programming standpoint to be doing this type of show, and not only that, I think what the show stands for is really cool too. I mean, Richard O'Brien, who wrote a lot of the story and all the music for Rocky Horror, this was really a reflection of what was going on internally within him, battling with his sexuality and stuff like that, especially in 1976 or whenever it was that he was writing this material. So there's actually a really interesting abstract story that's being externalized there. So I really actually, and it's masked by this really great pop music of the 70s and late or early 80s, and this crazy story, but there is something there. There's like a spirit there, and I don't think anything does well without spirit anyway, so it has that. And then what was the other part of the question? Some moments that really...
Yeah, so because it's turned into this cult thing where the crowd interacts with, and,
what's a big moment?
Yeah.
How crazy can we get on here?
Well, I can always edit it out. I do that.
Okay. I think that's a good way to start. All right. So, I think the best part are the call-outs. That's what I'll say for the PG-13 version, right? The call-outs and the audience interaction. I think that's what makes a show. Now, to go deeper into that, and this is the part you might have to edit out.
Okay.
There was this time, I think it was last year or the year before we were doing the Rocky Horror Picture Show. There's a moment in the movie where Riff Raff, one of the main characters, opens up a coffin and exposes a skeleton, right? And so these call-outs are constantly changing with current events, and people are making stuff up all the time. So this part's coming up. And then somebody in the audience, this is at the time that it's a horrible thing. But I don't know if you remember Gabby Polito. She was killed by her boyfriend, and like they just had found her body and confirmed that she was dead. It was like a big thing on the news at the time. You know, this part's coming up, and then somebody yells from the audience, they're like, "Show me Gabby Polito," and he opens up the coffin.
Oh, wow, okay.
And it's
so definitely some gallows humor going on there.
Oh, it gets bad.
Yeah.
It gets bad. I mean, I feel wrong even saying it, but it's like those moments, it gets crazy. Another one, just a quick one. There's a moment where Frankenfurter, the other main character, is singing to the audience in his head, and there's the house is filled with audience members, and then it goes back to him, a close-up on him, and then it goes back to the house, and the seats are empty. So in that moment, another call out. It flashes from the audience to him, and then they say, somebody yelled out, "The graduating class of Columbine, 1997."
Oh,
Empty seats.
Oh.
And I remember it vividly because even the audience was like, they just, there was like an audible like, oh, you know. And so there's a lot of these moments.
Well, and, you know, that's interesting. why I find some of that extremely tasteless.
Really bad.
I mean, it does sum up something which I think is maybe, I'm just going to make this up like we usually do, but it seems uniquely American, right? To push the limits on things, especially with comedy. Like Americans tend to really push the limits on things.
And it's really horrible stuff. Like I said, it's awful stuff. And I mean, maybe there's something to trying to bring humor to it, even though it's not a funny thing at all, but trying to lighten the air around it.
Well, is that how like these change over time? In other words, is there combinations of people doing just bad ones, like "dude, that was lame," versus somebody saying something totally inappropriate to like, "Okay, that's the one, that's the zinger that's going to stick." Like are they throwing a bunch of spaghetti against the wall to see which one?
100%.
And then is there a community where like somehow how do these spread? So if somebody says whatever, like to the dead guy in Atlantic City, how does it end up in a theater in San Francisco?
Because it's such a cult classic, and people, like you said, do travel to see this show. It's like anything. If it really catches, it spreads like wildfire. You know what I mean? If people find it, I don't know, like this is it. They find it right and suitable for the moment, it'll spread. But a lot of the call-outs are already kind of part of tradition, so there's not too much of those horrible things that I spoke about. Those were just 2 times that I remember vividly being like, holy crap.
Yeah,
like, you guys are nuts.
You're pushing it there.
Yeah, you guys are nuts, but yeah.
What other shows do you guys have coming up? So you're going to get through Halloween with this. Are you going to do like a Christmas story? What do you do around the holidays?
I really would like to. I don't think we'll do it this year, but I want to do a Christmas Carol. Not the musical, the play version.
Favorite show.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I really, I think it's just a wonderful, wonderful show, and I think it has a great message, about like greed and love and all that stuff, and I think it would do well in AC, and I always had the idea to, do some sort of discounted ticket or fundraiser so that we could, donate a lot of the stuff to the Atlantic City homeless shelter and all of that. So I don't know if that'll happen this season, but we'll have something in that winter slot next season since we're now in the celebrity theater.
If you were to do it, this would be a creative thing. Would you do it in the Old English?
In terms of accent?
Or are you actually the Dickens?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I haven't thought that far.
Okay.
I haven't thought that far, but now that you brought that to my attention, I'll put some thought into it, because that would be cool. I just I want it, so I get nervous. It's like doing Shakespeare, right? It's like, is this going to go over the audience's head, especially, does our community want to hear it like this? And it's like, with Shakespeare, I try to and he's probably rolling in his grave, I don't know, but I try to make it contemporary in a sense that, a lot of the acting takes place in your body so that they understand the language that's there. Because it's hard to kind of understand at times, So I the most important thing is comprehension. Because once they understand what they're seeing, then they can connect to the material, you know?
Okay, so now that you threw out there, I have a question and a request. One, did you have to do Shakespeare as part of your training? And number
Yes.
two, if you did, you got to give us a line.
Sure, I did study Shakespeare. A line, like from a monologue, let's see.
Yeah, so can you do like one of the hits?
I think a good one is Richard III. I think the monologue, it starts, now is the winter of our discontent. Do you know that one?
Yeah, that's a classic.
I mean, to be or not to be.
But you don't go, now is the winter of our discontent.
No, I mean, so...
Or is that like not really how you do Shakespeare?
That's how you do Monty Python.
Monty Python doing
Right,
Shakespeare.
right.
That's how
Yes.
you do Monty Python.
This parrot is dead. He is
kind
no
of.
more.
But kind of. There's a rhythm to it, right? So
Yeah.
you learn with Shakespeare that there's a rhythm, right?
Well, that's
So
iambic pentameter, isn't it?
that. Yeah,
That's
you're
my
right.
that's my big word of the day.
Iambic pentameter. The word.
Pentameter. Yeah, I get close on my words, like, and Jeremy usually fixes them at the end. I get like 90% of the way there.
Yeah, you always need a co-host to refine your words. Yeah, no, there's a rhythm to it, so you want to hit that. Now is the winter of our discontent, you know. So it's you could see it by the way that Shakespeare writes his language, that he actually has all the beats and everything in there for you. It's
Gotcha.
really something. It's cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming in.
Yeah.
I really think everybody should check you guys out. Anybody coming to Atlantic City, look at the Atlantic City Theater Company. And we'll have to have you back on.
Anytime.
And Jeremy, I guess you and I will talk. We'll be doing, hopefully we'll be doing some Halloween stuff in a couple of weeks.
I mean, real soon.
Yeah, real soon, yeah. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening to From the Music Store. And I don't know, give the outro, Jeremy. In all the in your greatest
no,
Shakespearean. He can riff on some. He can riff on some Shakespeare. Drop me some iambic pentameter.
I don't know where are you getting this from.
No, we did that one challenge where I said you had to read the line from the Attila the Joel episode, where I said you had to do a line.
Yeah. I was working with a script though.
Oh,
I had a
well,
script, I was
you
reading
say
the
the
lines.
same outro every week. You can find out more about
yeah,
it.
right.
I mean, this is not like, if
Yeah.
you need a script for this, I'm just going to fire you.
I mean, we should have it hanging on the wall.
Okay.
Because I think I change it every single time. See, now I'm on the spot. I have a judge.
You looking for a job?
Oh, yeah. You could get hired.
Yeah, there we go.
This is your big chance. Don't
I
blow it.
could react to the thing.
This
Totally
is your
don't blow it.
audition moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we got to do a whole episode on audition. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Find us at anywhere you would get your podcasts.
That was pretty good besides the end.
Yeah. That was really good. So it was like 5 words long. It was good until the end.
The fifth word was a little weird, but the other 4 were great.
There you go.
All right. See you next week.